Hey everyone. So this is my second of 5 Instagram lives this week. I figured I would get on here and partner up with a bunch of different cool people who are talking about all the amazing things as they relate to our health. And I'm super excited because today I have my friend Samantha Gladish. I think she's here. Hey lady. Okay, so let's wait for her to join because we're going to be on this together. And anyways, I just felt like this was one of the best ways to support everyone while we're going through the craziness that is COVID-19. All right, hang on one second. Let me get on here and we will jump right in. Got a lot of good stuff to share today. Hopefully this works. Okay, good. Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm great. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you great.
Okay,
You have
perfect.
a nice background.
Oh, awesome. Just in my office.
I know. I'm at the kitchen. I'm
Yeah,
just doing the
okay.
makeshift thing. I mean,
It's
like,
all good.
you know, just
It's all good.
a
When I stand
refugee
here,
in
like
Vegas.
my plant is like coming out of my head.
Out of your
It's
head.
weird, but it's
I
okay.
mean, that usually happens, isn't it though? I feel like I've always got something in the background that looks strange.
It looks strange. I know. It's all good. We're just making it work.
We certainly are. I know,
Yeah.
right? I feel like everybody's just making it work right now.
Seriously.
It's just so ridiculous.
It is.
Today was definitely a meltdown day. I think I cried for a good half an hour.
And
It's not pretty.
it's well deserved, you know, like let it
Yeah.
out. I know we're all going through the motions. It's something that I'm constantly telling myself is like, this is not an I situation. This is a we situation, you know, like whatever I'm feeling, I know everyone is feeling the same thing. So,
Right? I know. Everyone wave your hands or give us some hearts if you're in that place
Seriously.
of the collective feeling like, what the
Hi,
hell?
Corinne. Yeah, absolutely. I know.
It's so crazy.
It is. It really is.
But so we have to move through this. There's literally
Absolutely.
no way else, no other way out. Yeah. Your meltdown day was yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh yes, girl, I hear you. I know.
Yeah.
There have been multiple days,
Mhm.
I feel like. And
Absolutely.
I was like, okay, I'm good. And then, yeah.
I know. And it's like every day there's just something new, like in the news or whatever. It's just like every day it's changing so fast. So,
right? There was,
Yeah.
I mean, like pretty much, all of last week, I did feel that sense of dread as soon as I woke up, like, what is this day going to bring? I really had to flip that switch because it was hard. And then if you even look at the news before you go to bed or anything like that, like there's no sleeping. It's just all the things, which we can of course talk about.
We definitely can.
I know, right? Because that's why you're here. Yeah, I wanted us to start with just like, right now obviously is so, it's just completely unprecedented. We are in a time where none of us really knows what's going to happen, generally speaking. The uncertainty and the fear and the anxiety that so many people are experiencing right now is overwhelming. And I mean, really, it just is. It's like epic proportions.
Absolutely.
And, like, when obviously we were talking about your book, and you should totally share about your book and all of that. But like, when we're thinking of, hormones in general, what should we know right now? Like, what's the thing to know? What do women need to know about their hormones, especially at a time like this, right? Because I know we've all had goals to get our hormones under control, and what is a situation like this even doing to our hormones? We don't really even know, do we? Because it's just so unheard of.
It's so true. Yes, it's absolutely, like, that's such a great question. And I am sure that so many people that are listening right now are feeling the stress and they're feeling the anxiety and they're dealing with that fear and that uncertainty. Like, we're all dealing with that. And, with our hormones, it's not like this start and stop process. It's not like, oh, you're going through a crisis. Well, we'll take it easy on you this time. They're constantly going, they're constantly working. And so, especially in a time like this with stress, I think it's so important that we are just really patient with ourselves. And we recognize that, this isn't about perfectionism. If you've fallen off the wagon, like, it's okay, like, be really gentle with yourself, be really kind with yourself, because we're all dealing with so much uncertainty. And so I think that's just an important way to look at it. And, everyone's going to view this time very differently. I think there will be people who obviously the anxiety and the emotions and whatnot might take over a little bit more, and that panic. And then we might have that other, that other group where it's like, oh my God, I got all this time on my hand. Now I'm doing that detox. I'm doing that gut cleanse. I'm working out. You know what I mean? So there's no right or wrong. I think regardless, wherever we are at the end of the day, I think that it will come down to so many foundational things, which we can talk about today, about like managing your sleep and your stress and movement and eating good food. Like that is always going to serve you really, really well, like regardless of what's going on.
I mean, that's a fact, right? I mean, when you think about the foundational side of things and what it is that we need to be doing just to support ourselves on a regular day, in regular life. Yeah,
totally.
Because I definitely fantasize about baking a chocolate cake with sprinkles tonight. And I might still do it.
All kinds.
Right? Yeah. I know. I mean, I know we're going to talk about your book, but like my book is just, it's been, it's now been shipped to multiple people who are on the advanced mailing list, and I haven't gotten it as yet. And I'm just like, I need my book. Let me
totally. And you know what? Cake. I've been thinking about you because like as an author, I've been through the process writing the book, and I was thinking about you like, oh my God, what a time right now to like be out there and like sharing this. And it's, it's such an important message for people to get this in their hands, but it's also one of those things that a lot of people just, really undermine at the same time too. Right. So it's such a catch-22.
It really is. It is. I know. And I think that it's a small issue compared to what so many people are experiencing right now. And I suppose it's all relative, but yeah, I think that, we should definitely talk about that. Like what, because there is so much, not only is there fear and anxiety, but there's so much disappointment collectively as well, right? Because kids who are graduating from college, they're not having graduations. And, like across the board, there are, every single person is experiencing a plethora of emotions right now. And so I guess I'm curious, like for women who have hormonal issues or just are like trying to figure out what's going on, and especially in a time when we don't really have access to medical care unless we're in an urgent or acute situation. So what is, what can we be doing right now? I mean, like, first of all, I think we can talk about signs of hormonal imbalance, and then like talk about, what we can do to support ourselves.
Absolutely. So when it comes to signs, I mean, there's multiple signs of different hormonal imbalances. So
because you have a quiz in your book too, don't you?
Yes. There's definitely a questionnaire in there that will take everybody through like high estrogen, low estrogen, high progesterone, low progesterone, kind of take you through the ups and downs of all of that. And it's just a really great guideline, a good place to start, just so that you can have a general idea of where you might be at. You'll probably get a lot of overlap, and that's totally normal. So in terms of like symptomatically, there's all kinds of things that you might be feeling: headaches, migraines, definitely from a mood perspective, feeling very anxious, very maybe moody before your period. You might be having issues with your period and your cycle, whether it's heavy or it's too light or it's too long or it's too short, and just all this irregularity going on. Some women listening might be dealing with PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. There could be a lot of women on here that are dealing with low thyroid function, and that's just going to cause, sluggish digestion, sluggish bowels, sluggish metabolism. It also impacts fertility. Like there's a multitude of symptoms.
Basically everything.
Yeah, basically
so everything in your body. I know, right?
Yes.
I mean, we constantly joke about that, right?
Oh,
like
totally.
this idea that, you can't spot treat these issues. You just can't fix one problem. Because they're all talking to each other all day long.
Yes, they absolutely are. And with that said, like, I don't want to freak anybody out, but at the same time, there's so much that we can do. And like in a time like this, it's important, because our resources might be a little bit limited. It's important to think about what are the free tools that you have access to, that you've always had access to. So your breath work is so important, and it's going to put you into a state of calm. And this is essential because you really want to get into that parasympathetic nervous state, because otherwise you're not going to be able to think clearly. And I know so many of us right now are dealing with and maybe it's job loss and financial issues, and like we're making very rash decisions because that's what you do when you're in the state of panic. And I get that, but you're not going to be able to think clearly or make the right decisions if you can't calm your body down. So I went through that for the first couple of days and was just like, you know, in this anxiety and this panic. And then I had to really just slow down and really focus on my breath and incorporate some meditation. And that's when like my creativity sparked and I was thinking clearly. And it was all just because I was coming back to my breath and like really slowing down. So that's an amazing tool that we always have access to.
Yes.
So
what
really
do you
utilize that.
usually do? Because I did a live with my friend Dr. Tina Moore last week, and she was talking about that. She's talking about the box breath, and that's what she uses. And that is something that I use too. And you know, the alternate nostril breathing as well really helps me.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, like what you use, because a lot of people don't even know about this very easy solution.
I know.
Because I, like you, last week for sure, there were days where I was like, okay, I don't think I can breathe. I don't think I can do anything. This is insane. And
totally.
Yeah,
absolutely. So I don't have any like real strategy or technique around it. Typically in the morning is when I spend time in the morning. I like make my tea or an elixir or something fun like that. And I sit down, I journal. And that's when I'm really mindful about my breath. And so I'll always put my hands like right on my belly button. And it's important when it comes to breathing, because a lot of us don't know how to breathe properly. Like we're literally breathing with like our shoulders, right? I always tell my mom, like, do deep breathing. And she's going like this. And I'm like, no, that's not how you do it. So, you know, it's something to really keep in mind, is that you're not breathing with your shoulders or your chest. You're actually breathing with your belly. So I always like to put my hands, just kind of put them over each other. And then I just place it right over my belly button. And you exhale and you're inhaling, you're pushing the belly button out. So into your hands. And then when you exhale, you pull the belly button into the spine. So for me, it's like physically, I like to have my hands there and like feel that.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I do it. And in terms of time and length, I mean, that's really up to you. I think that if you can go to, 4 to 5 counts on an inhale, if you can hold that for 4 to 5 counts, and if you can do an exhale that's even longer than 4 to 5 counts, then that's wonderful. And just doing that for like 2, 3, 4 minutes is huge for like mental and emotional health. Like it's so incredibly helpful.
I could not agree with you more. I know. I mean, that's essentially what has saved me this last week. And I think that it's really, really important for all of us to remember, people, that we are in control of so much. I know that it doesn't feel like that right now. There are a lot of external circumstances that definitely do not feel like they are anywhere near in our control, and they really aren't. So we have to start to really tune back into what we feel we have control over, because we're in this now for potentially for the long haul, and it's going to be one of those things where if we're constantly looking outside of ourselves and externalizing all of this stuff, we're never going to be able to really to feel like we have any semblance of power in our lives.
Absolutely. And I mean, you brought up a good point there in terms of like control. Like that's another thing, is get clear on what you can and cannot control. And you got to really work hard on just letting go of what you can't control, because that is going to be this huge burden and lead to so much anxiety and discomfort. And like work on letting that go so that you can actually create the space for the things that you can control.
Oh my God, totally. And so when it comes to, like obviously there's all this external stress right now, and we're talking about breathing or using breath work to support ourselves. I was wondering about adaptogenic herbs. I know this is something that you talk about in your book, which everyone should get, by the way.
Awesome. I got a copy right here.
Oh, look at it. Let's see. Oh, it's so pretty. I know. I was actually just saying to Samantha earlier, everyone, that her inside of her book is so beautiful. All the colors are so gorgeous. Like, I love the handwriting and all of the design.
Thank you.
I know. I wish I could have done something like that, but it is.
Your next one.
No, girl, I ain't never doing this again. No way. That was torture enough for me. I'm good. I'm good for life. So
Awesome.
anyways, so if there's, do you have thoughts on adaptogenic herbs for people who are really struggling right now? Because obviously breath work is great, but a lot of us need more. We need the drugs. Not the real drugs, guys, not the real drugs.
The good medicinal herbs. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. There's so many great ones. I love ashwagandha. It's really amazing. It's great for the thyroid. It actually does help with conversion of T4 to T3, which is really great. And it's also really wonderful for the adrenal glands as well. So that's like very multi-purpose, really calming, really great for the body. It's also really great for anxiety and for sleep. So I really recommend that. And then next one's not a herb, it's magnesium, but I feel like it's so important to mention just because so many of us are deficient in it. And especially at this time when we might be dealing with more sleep issues and anxiety and whatnot, then magnesium is so great. So I love magnesium before bed. I think like religiously, I don't think I've missed a dose in like 5 years. So I take a magnesium biglycinate before bed. And it's basically like when you take magnesium, your body takes this really big sigh of relief. That's kind of what happens. Yeah, so it's such a great mineral to have on hand. And rhodiola is really wonderful, really great for the adrenal glands as well. And when we say adaptogens, like these aren't like super stimulating, you know, they're not gonna like, they're not gonna like, force you to overproduce hormones or things like that, or cortisol. Like they're not gonna, be this like huge energy surge or something like that. That's not what you're gonna get from it. It's like really gentle. It's very calming. They're very safe to use as well. And I love mushrooms. I love medicinal mushrooms. They're so fantastic, especially at a time like this, because they're so immunomodulating as well. And they have those adaptogenic qualities. So, I'm just trying to like think, there's so many of them, like chaga mushroom, reishi, shiitake mushroom. That's all good. And those are some really great ones. You can often find mushrooms in like an amazing blend. So I really recommend those. Mushrooms are, they're great adaptogens, and they're also, like I said, really great immunomodulators. So they don't overstimulate the immune system. A lot of us who might be in like an immunocompromised state where your immune system's like kind of already haywire, the mushrooms are going to be really great for that, because they're not like boosting. We hear so much about like boosting the immune system, right?
I know. There's a lot of like, definitely a lot of misinformation and a lot of language that is confusing for people, I feel like.
Yes, absolutely.
I feel like we really need to be saying things along the lines of nutrients or adaptogens or herbs or whatever that will support your immune system function. Boosting, I'm like, it's catchy. I get it. I really get it.
Totally. And that's what like the general people will, that's what they'll understand. But in our world, it's like, you kind of want to modulate the immune system. You want to support it. You want to strengthen it. And
exactly. Like scaffold the immune system.
Basically.
Right.
That's a great way to put it.
Feed it. I feel like we can come up with a million adjectives, but okay. So all of those are so great. And somebody said they started taking magnesium because of me. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm so glad that you found this.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I saw that.
Magnesium is a game changer. There's no doubt about that. I feel like it was the one thing that really moved the needle on my health years and years ago. And when, nothing really was working, I feel it's like, I joke that it's kind of like the period mineral. So anyways,
it's seriously, it is so incredible.
Isn't it? I know, it really is. So anyways, and you were saying magnesium bisglycinate or glycinate, basically.
Yeah, basically. And have you supplemented with magnesium threonate yet? Because
I have not.
Oh my
God. Tell me about it. Tell us all about it.
I love it so much. So magnesium threonate, just another form of magnesium. This is a magnesium that actually bypasses the blood-brain barrier, and it's really great for cognition and mental health. And whenever I take it, I have the wildest dreams. Like,
oh, really?
It's crazy. Yeah. Like both my partner and I, like, we will wake up the next day and be like, what was your dream about? Like, it's just wild. And it's really wonderful for sleep. So just an FYI, something to experiment with as well. Sometimes I go back and forth between the two.
I'm going to go buy some now. I feel like I will.
So great.
If I can find it. I mean, that's the other thing that we're really running into, isn't it? Is that, food is so important right now because supplementation is actually a little bit harder to do. I have a friend in Toronto who is immune compromised, and she started to feel sick last week, and she was freaking out. And so we had a conversation, and I was like, okay, here's what I think you should start with. Try these things. Totally. And her ability to get vitamin C, she said in Toronto, she was like, the health food store she went to was sold out within hours every time they restocked. And crazy. I feel like that's been the case here too, where I am in Vegas right now. And I know it's the situation for so many people. So we'll get into food, but yeah, like I just think that it's really crucial for us to remember too, that it's just not hoarding the supplements, because there are a lot of people who really, really depend on them, who are in, immune compromised situations.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's just being really mindful, supplements, food, but whatever essentials, like just be mindful across the board for sure.
Mindful. I know. Seriously. Yeah. Let's think about the people who we happen to share this country with.
Right.
No big deal.
Totally.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about food. I obviously, I'm a health coach. You're a holistic nutritionist. This is what we do. Totally. Minus the chocolate cake I was thinking of making. It was gluten-free.
Which is totally okay.
Whatever. I know the consequences. That's the thing. I feel like that's the thing, right? There's no good and bad. And I always try to tell everyone that. And I know that's your message too, right? There's nothing inherently good or bad about a chocolate cake. Well, there's lots of good things. But
Magnesium being one of them.
Right? Exactly. Yeah. I know. But the point is that we have attached so much emotion in our society to food, or to certain foods, that as a result, they're villainized, and we feel even worse about ourselves, or we feel terrible about ourselves when we eat them. And then the potential effect of that food on you is likely worsened because of how shitty you feel, because you've eaten that food. Yep. And then there's the effect. But yes, Absolutely. We all know the consequences of eating a piece of chocolate cake or whatever, something that just doesn't agree with our bodies. Yeah. And so I'm curious, what's your take on nutrition? What should we really be doing to support our hormones? I feel like so much of what you say is going to be what I say, but I want to hear your perspective, of course.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, at the end of the day, I always say a qualitarian diet. And qualitarian is as much quality as you possibly can get. Now, if you can get access to organic and grass-fed and pasture-raised, especially if you're eating animal products, that's going to be ideal. And listen, if you can't, it's okay, and at least focus on antibiotic and hormone-free meats, and any products like that. Quality is just going to be really great. So if people are uncertain about where to start, I definitely recommend go to ewg.org. You can look up the Dirty Dozen, you can look up the Clean 15, and that might be a really good place to start, especially with your produce. That could be really helpful. But across the board, fruits, vegetables, really good quality healthy fats, heart healthy fats, brain supportive fats, hormone supportive fats, and a lot of really good quality protein as well. And at the end of the day, it's about variety. I tell so many of my clients, if I followed you around for 7 days, you would be eating the same things over and over and over again. So the variety,
guilty of that.
Yeah, totally.
I know. When we find our favorites, we find our favorites.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's what's really, really important. If you could experiment with using organ meats and things like that, go for it. I know not a lot of us love that. Trust me, I'm not a huge fan, but it's also just being conscious of how nutrient dense they really can be, right? And if you don't eat those, that's totally okay. But if you're open to it, it's really worth a try. And getting creative in your kitchen. In my book, there's 60 recipes. It's gluten-free, it's grain-free. So I am really focusing on more of an anti-inflammatory approach. But yeah, getting in a variety of food. This is really, really important. Loading, especially now, loading up on as much fresh as you possibly can, as long as you can still get it. I know so many of us go to the grocery store and loading up on all frozen. And it's so funny because when we went to the grocery store, all the frozen was empty, but all this fresh produce was there.
Same.
So what are you doing?
Get over it. The produce section is fully stocked in the Whole Foods that I've been going to. I'm blown away by this. The ice cream's all gone.
Yeah. right?
Oh yeah.
Frozen pizza is all God. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So like, listen, there's nothing wrong within a time like this where we're going to be uncertain about resources and access to food. Sure, stock up on some essentials like frozen meats or bone broths and, you know, soup bones and things like that. Load up your pantry with different, you know, flours. I obviously focus on a lot of like grain-free and gluten-free flours. Beans and legumes are going to be great. You know, if you can tolerate grains, focus on things like some rice or quinoa, things like that. Like, definitely have those on hand, but don't forget about all the fresh produce that we have access to, and load up on those greens. They're loaded with your magnesium. Get in a variety of fruits, which are going to be loaded with antioxidants and support cellular health. And don't be afraid of fats, your avocados and your nuts and your seeds, olive oil, olives, avocado. Like, there's just so much variety. So
you're making me so hungry right now.
Yeah.
I know. I'm like, it's about that time. It's 5:25. Getting ready for dinner.
We just finished eating. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Oh, so you're good. I know.
8 p.m. here.
Everyone, Samantha's book is a 30-day hormone solution, and she has a ton of amazing recipes in there, and it's such a beautiful book to look at as well. So that always helps.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think that it's so true that we've sort of lost the plot a little bit in terms of how to eat to support our hormones, and you break it down really simply in your book, and I feel the same way too. That's my philosophy as well, is that this shouldn't be that hard. I mean, it really shouldn't. And I think that, there are multiple diets that really work well for certain people, depending on the issues that they're experiencing, something like keto or whatever. But at the end of the day, like the paleo-ish approach that you take and that I take, I think is the easiest thing to follow for all of us for the most part.
Definitely. And then with that said, like, that doesn't mean just because you and I eat like a mainly paleo type diet, that doesn't mean I'm never going to eat like a chickpea salad or, I'm never ever going to touch rice. Like, I just intuitively listen to what feels right. Some days I want to have a taco bowl and I want to put some rice in there. Some days I want to make a soup and I want to put lentils in there. But I also recognize what makes me thrive and what I feel really good eating. And that's what I eat most of the time. And then I also just have that flexibility. So just encourage people to not be so hard on themselves over it. And also, I think that a lot of people, like, I feel like we intuitively know, okay, eat our fruits and vegetables. Like, we know that, but we don't do it because we also don't know how to prepare food in a way that is going to be delicious. So I try to do a really good job of having that variety and that deliciousness in the book. So have cauliflower rice, have broccoli rice. Like, let me show you how that could actually be really delicious. There's a tons of treats and desserts in the book, and they're gluten-free, they're sugar-free, they're dairy-free, so there's ways to do this. It's just, I feel like a lot of us don't know where to start.
It's so true. I agree with that. What's your favorite recipe?
Oh my God. Like, there's so many of them.
Oh my God. Is there one in the book that you feel people would really love?
Yeah.
Especially people who are just like, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to start or what to eat.
It's, good question. There's probably like 3 that I keep seeing on rotation between everybody's feeds right now. And that's the almond loaf. I keep seeing it every day.
Yeah.
So you make your own homemade bread. It's an almond loaf. The cauliflower soup, that's a really popular one. And then the tahini cookies. Those are really good. So those are make those.
I know. I've got your book sitting right here in front of me. I feel like I might need to go make the tahini cookies.
Yeah,
maybe the chocolate cake can wait.
Yeah, go make those cookies. They're like really good, and they're so easy to make.
Yes, sounds amazing. Okay, all right. So, final question for you before we jump off: what, where should people start in terms of like what they're cooking? Like, do you have any kind of formula? Do you do batch cooking or meal planning? Like, what do people do to begin? Especially right now, when I feel like some people have a little bit more time in their hands, and then maybe others don't because their kids are at home. They're also working from home. I do not have children. I do not even understand how people are doing this right now.
Same.
I'm in complete awe of everybody.
Me too. Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
So, love your brilliance.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, we've been watching our neighbor's kids every now and again.
Yeah.
She comes over, she's 2 years old, knocks on her door, comes over for like a cookie or a brownie, or it's so cute. So we've been like helping them manage, because I know it's crazy over there for them. But in terms of cooking, like, yeah, batch cooking is amazing. Don't just cook one piece of fish, or, you know, don't just go and chop. Like, I like to chop when I get home from the grocery store with all of my veggies, like right there in that moment, I wash them, chop them, put them in the fridge. So it's like right before I put them away, just like do that in that moment. And then, like I said, like, don't just make one piece of fish. Don't just make one piece of chicken, you know, like cook a bunch so that you can keep it in the fridge and you can have at least for, you know, a good 3 days. That would be ideal. And then in terms of like prep, like I said, you know, prepare stuff right when you get home from the grocery store so that it's, you know, it's ready when you need it. Because that's often the issue, is that it's there, but it doesn't seem so convenient. So we don't go and, you know, pull it out of the fridge and, oh my God, I don't want to chop this time. I don't want to make this out. Like, it just seems so daunting. But if you can take that, you know, hour on a Sunday afternoon and prep that, trust me, it's not going to be so daunting. And then you'll have that easily accessible food. And then, like, I love my Instant Pot. It's just so easy. It's so quick. There's some great recipes in the book for using your Instant Pot, and that's great because you can make like really great soups and stews, and then that could pretty much last you almost an entire week. And you can also freeze those, which is really wonderful. So batch cooking and just really taking that time to prep, that's going to be so important. And that saying of like, prep is half the battle, I'm like, no, that's like all the battle.
It really is.
Yeah,
I know. I mean, it's the one thing that is the biggest, for me personally, it's the hardest thing to overcome. It's the biggest hurdle.
Yes.
In prepping, you know, enough food, especially enough food, because the next day you're like, wait, what are we going to eat? And I think that's what we have to do. Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. Batch cooking is a lifesaver. It really is.
Totally. Yes, I would agree with that. I
completely agree with you. I know. And it's for so many of us, we've just never been taught that. So I think that when we start to implement this into our lives, it's a complete game changer. Yeah,
it absolutely is. And then also, you know, I always think about when I'm putting my meals together is like protein, fat, fiber, your PFF. That's what I always look at, is like making sure I've got protein on my plate, I got fiber from my vegetables, I got fat on there. That's really how I like to put a meal together.
That's exactly how I like to put a meal together too.
Awesome. Perfect.
We're on the same page. Awesome. Perfect. So tell everyone the name of your book again, and everyone should come to your Instagram profile and check all of your beautiful creations out, because you have gorgeous food on your profile.
Oh, thanks so much. Yeah, so the 30-day Hormone Solution, and it is, it's really pretty inside, guys, I promise. So that was really important for me, because I was like, if there's food in there, I want people to see food and see how delicious it can be. I'm always attracted to recipe books that have the pictures of the food in there. So, so, you know, the first half of the book is basically all about women's health and hormones. I dive into adrenal health and thyroid and PMS and digestion and sleep and detox and all that fun stuff. Some great protocols in there. And then the second half of the book is 60 delicious grain-free, gluten-free recipes. So great for supporting gut health, balancing blood sugar, thyroid, all of that. And you guys can also head on over to hormonesolutionbook.com. You can check out the book there. And of course, there's tons, like you said, tons of creations over on my Instagram. So if you're stuck at home and you don't know what to cook right now, I totally got you.
Yes, she definitely does. Awesome. Thank you so much. This was really, really helpful. And I will also share this on IGTV and on YouTube and on Facebook. Amazing. I've like got it all down.
Awesome.
Now. I'm so pleased with myself. Yes. Well, you know, just thank God for people who know what technology is on my team, because I couldn't figure it out.
That's amazing. Okay. I'm like, I didn't even know I could do that. So
I'm gonna try and save this thing, and then it'll be, you know, it'll be out in the world.
Yeah.
So yes.
Perfect.
Well, thank you, and stay safe and healthy and well during this time. And you know, I know we'll talk soon.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, lady. I'll talk to you soon.
Have a good night.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, everybody. I'm just going to say goodbye. I know Samantha's going to jump off, but I'll just say goodbye to all of you guys. Oh, my hair is got the backlighting going. Thank you all for joining. And we will be on tomorrow with my friend, Dr. Brooke Kalanick. She is a functional doctor and a hormone genius. So we're going to be talking about how to preserve your period during this time when it's super stressful for a lot of us right now, and stress affects periods. We will delve into the science on that and give you some ideas on what you can do to support yourself while the world is basically going crazy. So anyway, yes, thank you. Thanks everyone. All right, I will see you all soon. Talk to you later. Bye.